I'm ready.
Yeah.
2 hours. I think you'll be okay. Recording video now. Intro going. Here's the other thing too. If you do hear that again, remember what topic you were talking about and just pause. That's the I'm gonna do what I can to stop that, but I think the best thing to do in this situation. Today's the last day this is gonna happen. So,
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go down there and solve it. But for some reason it does go on again, and it's like the fire department and like there's code and law and stuff I can't do. Then just stop when you hear it go. And just like okay, what dot were we on? Pause, and then we can go in and just be silent. I can find it. I can cut and then resume like it's one smooth thread.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Jinx.
Awesome.
I see you dressed nice and light today.
Yeah.
It gets hot in here, I tell you. Ooh.
All right, let's go around and do mic checks real quick.
Check. Check.
Okay, so I'll say the color of your wire. Just say mic check. Red.
Check.
Nice. Orange.
Check, Mike.
Nice. Yellow.
Check.
Okay, great. Blue.
Mic check.
All right, you guys are good to go. Everybody sounds great. Cool. And let me play the intro. Make sure it sounds good. I'm gonna blow my ears out. So I'm gonna lower it a little bit.
Coco, did you bring napkins today?
I did. You need some?
Alright, that should be good. Alright, cool. You guys ready to go?
Yep.
I'll do 5 seconds of silence. I'll start the intro.
Wrinkled but clean.
Let's slide on out to take care of this fire situation. Alright, so 5.
Check. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means you're now tuned into chapter 85 of the Introverted Intuition podcast. My name is Jeff, a.k.a. the ambitious introvert. The petty podcaster is dead, officially. I'm sticking with this nickname because I think it sounds great.
I like it.
To my right, I have CR. Say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man CR908 representing Jump Out the Frame.
Got you. To my left, Miss Coco.
Hello, everybody. It's Coco. How are you?
Still not the miss, huh? You don't accept the miss, Coco?
You know what? If you want to throw the miss in there,
Gotcha.
go right ahead. I just won't accept it.
I can't stop. It sounds better to me.
Gotcha.
And across from me, we have a very special guest, someone I discovered through Twitter, a video of another podcast, the What's a Good Guy podcast. The clip I saw, it was very interesting to me what she was saying. And after listening to the whole episode, I was even more intrigued. So I had to send the email out to possibly have her on as a guest to share her story with us and our audience. So please introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Guys. My name is Janae Brown, owner and founder of Brown to Perfection Agency.
Nice. Thank you.
We love
for coming.
entrepreneurs here.
Oh, for sure. We are entrepreneurs. Like we wouldn't make
Sure.
sense if we didn't, right?
It's true. It's true.
So clearly you have a history with podcasts of being on them. But do you listen to them in your free time ever?
Yes, but these days it's crazy. I used to listen to podcasts all the time, I feel like, or just way more than I do now. Now I'm a little more specific. I listen to specific episodes. So like you saw mine floating around when I was on What's a Good Guy, like I'll be like, oh, okay, let me stop and listen to that. Or if it's somebody I'm familiar with or I admire or a friend or something, it's hard for me just where I am, I guess, in my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to take the time out to listen to multiple podcasts. So I try to like pick and choose and like pop in like, okay, let me catch this, let me catch that. One that I am consistent with is One Church LA, but that's like literally like church for me. So I'm like, I gotta listen to that every week.
Is
But
it like
yeah.
spiritual?
Yes. So it's I don't know if you guys are familiar with TD Jakes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
His daughter, her and her husband's church.
Oh nice.
And so it's really progressive. It's really dope. Like it's pretty much the like millennials of color church.
And what's it called again?
One Church LA.
One Church
They
LA.
have a church in Denver, Colorado now, and one in LA. They're underneath like TD Jakes, like
His umbrella kind of.
yeah,
if
his
you will.
umbrella. But like they pretty much do their own thing. I actually got to visit recently when I was in LA for the first time, and it was amazing. I've never seen that many people like within our age bracket, like at church, and it's not like stuffy. We all look exactly how we look right now.
Come as you are.
Everybody come as you are. Everybody's nice. The service wasn't 10 years long. I was like, this is great, and it was like a packed house. Like, and they do 3 services every Sunday.
Wow.
It's crazy, but it was dope. It was a really nice experience. But I listen to them every single week.
Nice.
And where was this?
This is in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Did you try In-N-Out Burger?
Man,
It looks so good on the internet.
Let me tell y'all, right? I'm not even big on burgers anymore at this point in my life. But I was in LA and I was like, listen, I'm trying everything. I went to In-N-Out Burger. I was like, wow, this is
Amazing
a
out there.
damn good burger. Like
It looks too good.
It's so good. The fries are terrible.
They really are.
They taste
They
like
are.
cardboard.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
They do. And I saw the machine that they put the potatoes through, and I'm like, there's no love in that.
Oh,
That's why
the
they taste like
machine.
that.
What about their
That's why,
shakes? Do you
yeah.
like their shakes?
I did not try the shakes because I'm lactose intolerant. And when I went
Same.
to In-N-Out, I was on the move. I was getting ready to go to the studio session. And I was like, you know what? I'll pass,
Pass
on
that.
the shake.
I'll try to live vicariously through you. I'm not just.
This
Yeah,
is
right.
great
know?
to know because
Yeah,
I'm going to LA next
Usually I
month.
take
Yeah.
the risk.
Yeah.
But
Try it. It's worth the
we
risk.
got to
That's
talk
a-
then. There's mad stuff to do.
I
now.
need to know.
There's so much
Yeah,
stuff.
we're gonna connect.
So much stuff.
It looks like there's so much to do.
It's cool.
So I guess let's get to the start of your entrepreneurial journey. Like, where did it begin? Where are you from initially?
Okay, cool. I'm from Harlem, New York.
Hey, the 212,
Born and
right?
raised. I live there now still. I actually only left when I was in college, but I went to college in Long Island, so not too far. I frequent Atlanta because my dad's whole side of the family lives out there now, but essentially I'm from Harlem. I'm a big New Yorker. So after school, I went to Five Towns College in Long Island. Like I said, my degree's in business management with a concentration in music business.
Oh, nice.
So they had very specific courses on different things, like music marketing is a class by itself, concert production and promotion, business law and copyright. Like those are actual classes. Publishing, like those are actual classes that you have to take, which is really cool. I did a bunch of internships with different, marketing and branding companies and stuff like that. At the time, I don't even think I realized like what I was gaining from them. And then I interned at Sony my last year in school at RCA Records. Then I broke my ankle 3 weeks before
boy.
graduation.
How?
And oh boy, it's really weird. I wish I had a better story, but I was at like a party that some friends of mine threw. Actually, if anybody's familiar with Dinnerland,
Yeah.
so we went to the same college, the founders and I, and it used to be called something else, but they had like an event at a space that they were using as an office, and one of my friends was like really drunk, and he was like, this is like the stupidest story. Okay.
I'm ready.
I don't think
I'm so
I've ever
ready.
even
I'm on the
told this
edge of my seat.
story on an interview. This is the stupidest story. So he's like one of those friends. He's like one of my craziest friends. Like everybody knows. Shout outs to Renzo. The name should say like, it's Renzo. Like, okay.
You got to interview him next.
Honestly, because he's crazy. So there was a dance group. They came and performed mid-party. And so they're like spinning on head top, busting into splits, doing all types of tricks. So he's like, oh, this is lit.
Oh, no.
He is so drunk that he is opening his wallet. And I guess he thought he was throwing money out. I told you the story is crazy. He's throwing his credit cards, ID all over the place. And there were some people in the party, not from our school, who look like they like, oh, well, we about to. So then I'm trying to help him gather his stuff. Me and my friend Justin are like, oh, my God, Renzo, like, get your stuff together. So we're trying to help him not get scammed.
Yeah.
And I had on these, like, chunky heel boots. And on my way back up, I think, like, my knee gave out at the same time, something. But it was like... boom, right? And so I was like, damn. I thought it was just my knee that gave out. And I was like, okay, damn, all right. So I limped to a chair. I'm sitting there. Should we pause?
Yeah.
Okay. I know where I was at.
That's great. I'm on the edge of my seat. Stupid fire alarm.
Stop in a second.
Mike, edit that out, please.
Edit.
We good.
Please continue.
We good. So I limped to the chair, right? So I'm back right back in. So I limped to the chair, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I started feeling like, damn, this really hurts. This is a weird, right? Long story short, realized my ankle is broken, and literally we're about to graduate in 3 weeks. So I'm like, wait. The doctor was like, yeah. Oh, it did it again. Just stop.
It doesn't stop.
At least we're safe.
It's ruining probably the best story I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, go ahead.
So, long story short, broke my ankle. It was broken. I guess the doctor at the hospital, rather, and he's like, oh, yeah, your ankle's broken, all calm and casual. I'm like, okay, I'm graduating in 3 weeks. He's like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to get you in a cast. And I'm like, when is this going to be back together? I was like, I'm graduating. He's like, okay, well, you'll be going across the stage on crutches.
Oh.
You know, mad calm. And I was just like, what? And then I was devastated because I was interning at RCA. And I was interning in hopes to hopefully transition into a job. They had already said, like, hey, you can come back for the summer and keep interning. We really like you. And so I'm, like, so devastated and distraught. I call my supervisor at the time. Shout out to John Engel. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, as soon as you can walk around, just come back. We'll be here. And I was like, oh,
Thank God.
okay, right. Thank God.
That's love.
So as soon as I got my foot, I don't know if you guys know what a cam boot is, but it's basically after you're off crutches, is this big, ugly, like boot, like
Yeah,
plastic
okay.
boot. And like you can like kind of
Hop
limp
along.
with
You can
it,
hop along on it.
right? As soon as like the day I got my cam boot on, I was like, hey, I'm coming in the morning. 10 a.m. the next day, maybe 9:45, I was back in RCA. Like, and they were like, you can sit down. I was like, nope. I was limping around to the copy machine back and forth. They're like, we can do that. I was like, nope, nope, nope. And so I do all that. I had relationships, or I had formed relationships with HR, blah, blah, blah. And I end up gratefully landing a job at Columbia because there was nothing open at RCA at the time. So I was at Columbia Records working with the CFO, and they also control all the marketing finance. So I was doing a lot of that, you know, going over the record deals. And before anybody could get signed or renew their deal, it had to go through my hands. So it was a really great experience. They had just started transitioning into being open to companies like Spotify. Tidal had, you know, literally during when Tidal, you know, released and said we during Tidal, you know, they didn't contact any of the labels or anything.
Came
they
out of
just
out of
did
nowhere,
it.
yeah.
Right. And a lot of the founders or owners of Tidal were signed to our label. So that was a thing. So I got to experience a lot of Beyonce's surprise album. So it was a good time.
Exciting.
Yeah, learned a lot, but they didn't have enough urban music for me, in my opinion. They had a lot of legacy artists and they had a lot of newer artists, but the new artists were all really like pop alternative. And so it was dope, but I was like, I need some oomph. You know what I mean? Like I'm a hip hop girl. Like I need that. I need some R&B. And so RCA was like, knock, knock. Hey, what's up? What you doing? We got something open. You trying to, my old supervisor was actually getting promoted or moving to another department. So he was like, hey, you want my job? It's like, yes.
That's so lit.
That's why networking is key.
so lit.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
key.
and maintaining those relationships.
Yeah.
You know, even though I was upstairs, it was like, you know, hey, making sure I still support them on their releases and their events,
That's
and
a good
just
tip.
being a good overall person. You know, people don't forget that. People don't forget you being kind. They don't forget you being willing to help. They don't forget you just little things. Good morning, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Do you need something? They don't forget that versus always asking for stuff and kind of making it transactional all the time. I try to encourage people, especially anybody who's trying to pursue anything, but especially when I meet like younger people or people who are just like, okay, I'm just starting. I've just figured out this is what I want to do. I'm interested in how do I get in? And it's more like, okay, less of how can I get in and how can I be of help? What can I offer? Because you being in the room alone, you gain so much. But I think when you come at people, especially I guess in music, you're constantly being asked for things all the time.
Can you hear my CD? Can you hear my whatever?
It could be anything,
Yeah.
like all the time. And, I get it, but sometimes I always say to people get mad at people who don't respond, or people who are like, no, get out of my face, or like, kind of standoffish. And I'm just like, you got to imagine your question 100 times a day.
Yeah.
And then, be the difference, be the person who's more or less like, oh, hey, give me an opportunity, and more like, hey, I do this. Is there anything I can help you with? What do you need? And, even if you can't be a part of what they're doing, people will be like, okay, you know what? I'm pretty good right now, but let me introduce you to so-and-so. I think maybe that'll be a good fit. Or let me tell you about this event that happens, and you'll probably meet somebody there or get an opportunity. So, yeah. I was at RCA. That was great. But while I was there, it was a lot going on. I remember at one point I was working like 33 projects. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
At one
Did you have-
time?
Yeah.
Did you have deadlines for those, or?
Oh, absolutely. Every day. Every day. That was all day. And in marketing, everything's an emergency. Literally everything's an emergency. And it was weird because at Columbia, one of the first things my boss there taught me, he was like, listen,
Listening.
everything is not an emergency.
Yeah.
He was like, we do not work in the ER. He was like, we do music. And he was like, if it is that much of an emergency, I'll call you. He was like, do not let these people make you not have a life. He was like, you have a life outside of here. And he's like, you have to have a life outside of here.
They want to see you hustle.
Because yeah, and you could do that, but it's like, listen, this is not my entire life. You will go crazy. And at the end of the day, when you're working for a company, they just want the job done.
Yeah.
If you drop dead, God forbid,
They
trying
interviewing
to
the next
hustle,
person.
yes, because
Yeah.
they got to.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
HR, hello, who y'all got? Send some candidates. Like, so it's just like, you got to try to find that balance. But in marketing, it's hard because, again, everything's an emergency. You deal the most with the A&Rs. You deal the most with management. You deal, so, and in all the other departments, everybody's calling you. Everybody. And then the top of the label is like, hey, what's going on? Whenever something's going on, they talking to marketing first. They're not PR. We got to deal with them all the time. So it was a lot, and they had a lot of structural changes going on, which is why I had so many projects. And, I'm a hands-on person.
With
I'm
33
super
projects, I
creative.
would think so. Goodness.
But the thing with 33 projects is if you have that many, and in the function I was doing, it became very administrative. And so very just a lot of paper and calls and just long hours.
And boring.
And yeah, it gets boring, and that's hard for me to explain to some people because they're like, what you mean? And I'm like, I'm super creative. Like, that's why I was hired, essentially. It was because I was super creative. And so I think at the time they needed somebody who was just going to be able to do admin. And I needed to be creative. So we just kind of came to a mutual agreement, and decision that, like, this is not it right now. And so I had already been interviewing for a new gig at another company before we came to this new decision. And it was a little different. It was a label. And I said to myself, okay, I got to find something. I got to find something new. My mom was like, you've been interning since before you even left college. You went straight into the workforce. You got 2 jobs. She was like, if you want to take a breather, you can do that, right? It's okay. You don't have kids. You don't have a mortgage. I don't even drive. She's like, she's like,
good.
it's okay. She was like, you can take a second and figure it out what you really want to do. I really needed that. I thank my mom for that to this day. And I took a step back. But I was like in the final round for that gig, for that music company. And so I said, okay, if I get it, then, God, okay, cool. That's the next step. If I don't get it, I'm going to try to do this myself. Because I remember processing invoices for outside marketing people and agencies and stuff. And I used to do the calculations. And I'm like, we paying them a lot a month. Like, got these retainers. And I'm like, they're definitely making more than me. And they don't got to talk to us every day.
Wow.
Right.
I thought that was amazing. I was like, wow. And so I was like, what if I was able to do the stuff that I'm great at, the stuff that I was actually hired for, but on my own? was like, I'm pretty sure I think I could pull that off.
Mm.
And so somebody actually messed up like the final round of the interview. It was really weird. I was in a final round, and I was set to meet with like 2 or 3 more people. One of the people out of the 3 jumped the gun and promised the other candidate the job
Whoa.
during the interview, or said something like, okay, you have the job. And it just messed everything up.
And it was like a panel that was deciding together then?
Yeah, but they were meeting individually.
same
And so
thing.
they were really mad at that person because they were like, you can't do that. And it was the whole thing. I caught it this time.
Mm-hmm.
That was smooth.
I guess Mike didn't handle it.
He might still be trying to because he never came back.
He looked really mad. I thought he was gonna try to like fight them or something. Like,
He's been dealing
I'm
with
sorry
a lot.
about this.
No, it's fine.
No, you don't have my attention anymore. You had it already.
There's no emergency. Edit, edit, edit.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Edit.
I feel
Oh
good
my
with the
God.
episode.
You guys should release like bloopers.
There's
We're
gonna be
saying
so
that,
many
yeah.
bloopers for
We're
this
saying that.
episode. I feel like it's not that you don't think you can really hear it. Like
Yeah,
clearly
Yeah, that's
through
what
the
I was
audio.
thinking. I don't know if you're even gonna be able to hear it on the audio like
They
that.
said, yeah.
Yeah, oh,
You
yeah.
say yeah.
It picks
Okay.
up.
Is it me or did it get louder?
It
I
did.
was
It
just
did.
thinking that, but
Yo.
I was like, I'm tripping.
It did get louder.
It got louder.
They got tired of Mike coming down there. You know, we're gonna turn this up a little bit,
I don't think they heard us the first time.
right?
It's amazing.
If you could hear me, audio listeners, the reason we keep pausing is because there's an alarm that keeps going off in the studio today. It's super frustrating. It's supposed to go from 6 to 7, but now it's 7:42 and it's still going. So shout out to
We're too hot.
the
That's
fire
all it is.
department.
Right.
Yeah,
They need to.
It's too hot.
your story was heating up. I'm ready for the rest. Like,
We like stories.
But yeah, it's definitely hot in here.
I kind of like the siren effect, you know,
Yeah.
when I'm talking. It's like,
It just feels like in New York. You know?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Your window is
very-
open or something.
True.
Yes. I'm always on the phone, like, at my
Mm.
house, and it's just like, and people from, like, the West Coast be laughing, like, damn, what
Really?
you going through? I'm like, shut up. I live right by the damn highway.
oh man.
How
They-
did this
that-
happen?
Should we just go ahead? I
Yeah,
mean,
like I'd like you for you to continue talking. They
Okay,
can,
cool.
they can do what they
ignore
can.
it,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so they messed that up, and so I didn't end up working there. And I was like, okay, cool. So I guess I'm doing this, and I never looked back. And that's literally how I'm here. And as I went along, it was just pretty clear that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
There was no hesitation whatsoever between the transition between corporate and independence.
I mean, there was a little scariness at first. I feel like I always tell people, like, I've been in business since 2016, but sometimes I feel like I didn't start taking myself seriously until, like, the end of 2017. When I really, like, got in my bag, like, okay, cool. This is it. And, like, I guess seeing how far I could really take it.
So there's like no hesitation in that transition because you had the knowledge, you had the experience, you were in a position where you knew that this could work.
Yeah, I want to be wary about saying no hesitation. I think the hesitation stage was the stage in between me applying for stuff still and my mom having the conversation with me and then me not getting the other gig. For me, I'm a person, like, I go over things 1,000 times in my head, 1,000 times. But once I get that sign that, like, this is it, like, I'm
Right.
sure it makes sense, then I just keep going because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, too, like, anybody who's pursuing anything, once you get past a certain point, what are you going to do? Turn around and walk back?
Yeah.
You can't
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like a tunnel. It's
so
like
true.
you're walking, and once you get halfway through, if you turn around,
It's all for
you
nothing.
can't even see where you came from anymore. All you can do is kind of keep following the light, and damn, you're already here, so keep walking.
Get
like
to the other
that's
side, yeah.
that's kind of just, I think, definitely where I'm at now. But I think it didn't take me long to kind of get to a point where it's like, okay, you established this. And I don't know, I always said, like, if I were to ever work for a company again, I don't think I ever will. It would have to be a partnership with my company. Just That's just how I feel about it. And I was like, I used to say if I did, it would have to be a hefty price. Like, it'd have to be like an insane number. But even then, I'm like, no, it has to be a partnership because there's a reason why you want me in your building.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
And so Brown to Perfection is born.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is it you explain to the people?
Okay, so it's a marketing and event production agency. So essentially, we do brand strategy and marketing plans for brands, artists, companies. We pretty much help you figure out your strategy, who your target market is, and then how to reach them. I always tell people I believe in authenticity marketing. So it's not about taking what's already there and turning it into something else. Like, I'm not going to take a green chair and turn it into a blue table. I'm going to take the green chair and make it the snazziest green chair that there is, right? And make everybody want to sit in it. So that's essentially what I do. Also event production. So that's any type of experience related to the marketing of a product, service, art, brand, company, anything like that. So it could be pop-up experiences. It could be album listening events. It could be I don't know why. Every time somebody asks me about a company, I keep using this example of Sephora, and I guess I'm going to do something for them this year because literally the
That's
first
awesome.
first thing I think of is like if Sephora wanted to do a big old activation, I will put that together and make it fun and make it interactive. Let them be able to touch people and create an experience. I think a lot of times the experience part is what really makes
memorable.
whatever it is, and it makes it stick. So that's what we do on a client level. On a community level, we try to provide like resources and like wellness, business tips, marketing to just creative millennials in general and women of color especially. We do that through, just the resources on our platforms. We do that through different types of events. So like we do vision board and affirmation workshops, fitness classes. And I also, through my agency, put together events, soap parties. So like we have one called Trapping for the 99 2000s that I throw with my partner Kim Chanel, who works with Audio Mac. And we've taken that event to different festivals. So A3C Festival in Atlanta, most recently South by Southwest, and just, wherever it's calling.
That seems like very selfless, like the entirety of what the brand is and what it does for people, like even in the community. Like, is that a testament to like who you are as a person, or is it mostly just like this is what you have to do to really make the brand grow?
No, it's definitely me.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's so funny. This is something I was thinking about today because it's hard sometimes being a selfless individual because not everybody is like that. And sometimes it I won't say it backfires, but, it's like, damn.
Sometimes you have the expectation
like,
of receiving the same that you give.
At least
something.
Something.
Some
Like,
gratitude.
sometimes it'd be like, sheesh, you would have thought I was, wow. But that's definitely me as a person. I've always been like the volunteer, putting together things that bring people together kind of person. Like I've been throwing events since I was literally a child. Pool parties with my cousins. That's where we started. Like, so that's definitely me. And I did want the brand to reflect that because the vision is becoming the best version of yourself. Like, that's our mantra. So whether you're an everyday person, a creative, whether you're a actual client or company, that's the goal. And so I really believe in as rare as it sounds, I believe in humanity still. And so
it's hard. It can be disappointing, but
it's hard, yeah.
But I'm a person who sees the light in everything and everyone, even to a fault. And so it's just important. The progression of people is important to me. And I think that my purpose is to help show people who they are. And sometimes you just need a little bit of help seeing. So
could you explain some of like what it takes to curate an event? Because I'm kind of in the process of doing that myself.
Cool. He wants some tips.
Mostly some tips because I feel like
yeah.
there's plenty of other people out here listening probably want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
What's like the hardest part? What's like the early process of sort of curating an event?
Versus the idea, right? You're like, ooh, it would be so cool if we did this.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you see it, you see the whole thing in your head. You're like, oh, this gonna be lit, right? And then I would say then writing, for me, it's writing it down. If I don't write it down, it's probably not going to actually happen. So I write it all out, all the details, no matter how crazy I think they are, I write them all out. I write out what I need, as far as who's going to be involved, where we're going to have this, how many people do I want there, how much if I'm charging for the event or not. If I am, how much should I be charging people? What are they getting for this amount that I'm charging them? If I'm not charging them at all, cool. Okay, we'll let that be known too. How am I going to pay for this event? Because nothing's free, especially not in New York City. So I'm like, okay, cool. So it's really all of that planning. And then I start making moves. I also figure out who needs to be involved. If at this point I have a team.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah.
What's your process of choosing the people that you work with? Because obviously it takes teamwork. So are these people, that are friends, or these strangers that you interview? How does that process go for you?
So for my marketing agency, my team now are people that I met. Most of them the most random places. Seriously, I'm really big on energy and vibes. I know everybody says it, but I'm very serious. Yeah. And I'm a great, I would say, reader just of people. And so
sounding like an empath
when I
over
know,
here.
I am.
I'm waiting for
I
our.
am 100% am.
I'm waiting for our readings by the end of the time the show's over.
Stop.
I'm waiting for our
readings.
I
don't go that far, but I know a little something about a little something. But yeah, so I literally, when I know, I know. And I don't know, I just see stuff in people. And so I usually having these conversations, and it's like, oh, okay, so what are you into? And, what do you want to learn? And it's like, oh, okay, well, I have this going on. And I'm actually maybe thinking about having somebody, or they just offer their help. And I'm like, okay, let me see what it is that you're trying to develop, and if that aligns with something that I need. And that's pretty much how it's happened. My brand manager, Lori, shout outs to Lori. She's a good friend of mine. We met helping some other friends with an event. So we were on that team together. And then we kind of just, remained friends after that. I hired her to do some social media management work for me. But then after a while, it just came to the point where she's doing more than that. She's really helping me. She's one person who I could say gets it, gets what my brand is about.
Gets your vision.
And where she gets the vision. And there's not too many people who get it like that. And so, she transitioned into the role of brand manager. My design manager, we met because we ran a contest through my agency's Twitter for tickets to VS Yacht Party. Shout out to Clarence. Bronze Perfection was like a media sponsor. And so we had tickets to give away, and she won the contest. And so I met her there, and then, we just kind of had each other on social media since then. And I swear to this day, I don't know how Jamaica became, because she's also one of my really, really good friends now. But that's how it happens. The other people on my team, some of these people I met once, and I was just like, hey, okay. We started talking, and I'm like, all right, let's get on the phone soon, or let's have a meeting. Right. Let's sit down. And it just kind of stuck. It's really important to me that they're growing, they're learning whatever it is that they want to learn. I think having great supervisors, when I was working for a company, and having supervisors that were not so great at supervising, they had their strengths, but that wasn't one of them, leading other people. I try to be the best version of the leader that I enjoyed. I try to pull from all those places. And I just don't want to ever be the typical leader. I think the company runs the best when the people that are a part of the company, that are essentially pushing the company, are in a good place. They're learning, they're growing, they're having fun. Right. You know what I mean? I'm a person, I always say, the day this stops being fun for me, for real, it's hard work, and it gets really hard, and I got to push myself. But the day is just I don't enjoy this shit anymore at all, I'm not doing it. Right. I'm not doing it. And I feel like that goes for anything in life. Yeah. We only get one, so I think you should enjoy it.
Be happy.
Talk about leadership. That's very interesting to me. Was that easy to accept yourself as a leader and have people all intents and purposes, people do look up to you and will come to you for certain things. Does that like add any pressure or any fear?
Yeah, I mean, definitely pressure. I feel like my life is one big pressure bubble. Like it's so much pressure. It's pressure from everywhere because then it's also like I think my position in my family is pressure. I'm the oldest sibling, and it's just a bunch of different things and aspects of the person I am, and then that part of my life. It's definitely pressure everywhere. So in some of my friend groups, it's a lot of pressure, and when you're the friend who everybody comes to. For everything or to, make sure people are good. When you're that person, you do have those moments where you're like, okay, like Kendrick Lamar's like, ain't nobody praying for me. Like, what? It's like, all right.
They're drawn to you, though, because your energy.
My turn. Yeah, but it can be, you got to be careful even with yourself because it's like, you got to know, or I'm learning now, like sometimes you got to put a cap on it.
Yeah.
Just so you have a little bit left for
Especially if you're
yourself.
naturally open, which
Yes.
I'm learning now.
Yes.
If you're naturally
Yeah.
open, they automatically gravitate to you.
It's like,
and it's draining.
it's
Yes.
like fireflies in a light bulb.
Right.
Like
It's
they
very true.
won't stop coming. I mean, random people, strangers, can't walk up and down the street. It's like, oh my God. And you naturally, like you say, you're open, you want to help, and you're going to help. But you got to help yourself too.
Word.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of my themes for this year is self-love. I'm trying to learn to maybe I need to personify myself. Like, okay, help Janae. She's a friend also.
Yeah.
I am my own best friend.
She's a
Thank you.
person. Like, yeah, but did you check on Janae today?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you gotta do that for yourself too. But
What other strategies do you use when you feel like you're overextending yourself? Because I can relate to that.
I'm working on it. But I would say I try to take time to myself. Sometimes that's really all it is. Time where I'm not communicating with people.
Do you put your
I
phone
put
away
my
during
phone.
that? Okay.
I do. It's so hard.
It's
but
very hard,
I'll
but you
put it
gotta
on
do it.
airplane mode.
Yes.
I was saying on What's a Good Guy, actually, when I do turn my phone off, that means I've definitely stretched too far. I feel it coming this weekend. I tweeted the other day, I was like, I hope it pours the whole weekend because I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to do stuff for me, clear out my space, redefine my space and just give myself some space. Like, I think that's important. Just taking that time for you does so much. I get a massage once a month.
That's awesome.
I try to eat clean. Sometimes I be playing around, but for the most part, I eat pretty clean. I pray a lot, and I think it's just about doing things. Whatever it is your thing. That thing that it's just you or just you and God, depending on, how spiritual you are. I think it's important to do that and know, again, you don't work in the ER.
Right.
Unless you do. Yeah. And that's important, thank you. But most of us don't. And so it can wait. And you do have to think, like, if I wasn't here, what would happen?
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to take time for yourself. You got to take time to eat. You got to take time to sleep. You got to, the other day I was thinking, I'm like, every time you say yes to one thing, you could be saying no to hundreds of things or vice versa. If you say no to one thing for once, you could be opening up room for 100, 1,000 other yeses for yourself, things that you should have done. Sometimes I look around and I'm like, okay, why didn't I do this? Why isn't this done? Why isn't this taken care of? And I'm like, oh, right, because you think you can save the world. You were helping this person, that person. Like, you have 4 meetings this week for other people, and you didn't, you know what I mean? You didn't
Schedule
necessarily
time for yourself, yeah.
Exactly. So
I hope you
would
didn't
say
say no to anything by saying yes to come here tonight.
no.
Let's
You
hope
know
not.
why? Because you guys hit me up far in advance.
Nice.
He's
You
good about
guys
that.
are considerate, and so this was already there. This is already there, and that's something that I appreciate. It's
Cool.
usually the sporadic things that I'd be like, okay, fine.
Because then immediately you feel the pressure of it, right? Like, I want to
Yes.
help, but I know it's going to, wear me thin. I have other things going on, and you don't want to say no.
And you feel
so.
bad. You feel bad
Guilty,
when you feel like you can't be there for everyone, but you're really no good to anyone or anything if you're not good to yourself.
For
So.
sure.
I can totally relate to that because I was in that place like around 2016 when I started my company, because it was like at first I was trying to find my niche and I was doing photography and stuff like that. I'm actually an artist and I make music, but I needed to make money because I lived by myself. I was
Right.
going to school, so but in that process I was helping so many other people that I wasn't taking care of me. I wasn't getting sleep. I wasn't eating when I needed to eat. And then I realized that I was always worried about somebody else's problems. So, like, the biggest phrase that I had to learn to accept is the word no. Like, it's so powerful, and it does open up so many other yeses that are really good for yourself. So I wanted to congratulate you because you're on this journey. And,
Thank you.
And, you know, it's a journey that you should definitely embrace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I said the other day, I'm like, I give myself like a D+ this month. Last month I was good. What? And you know you're doing really good when people get a little funny with you. They're like, okay, well, I mean, you're so busy and you don't have time. But I'm like, oh, I'm doing excellent.
They text you at 6:01, you don't hit them back till 6:10. They're like, what's
And then
going
like,
on?
okay, yeah, like, you know, that's when, and that's actually the bag that I need to be in, because I'm accessible. I answered every text. Like, that's usually I'm running myself ragged.
So it's fair to say you don't have like a set schedule each week. Is it just randomized a bit?
Kind of. I mean, some things are set in stone. So, like, certain clients I have obviously calls with every week. I do a team meeting every other Wednesday.
You're probably great in the team meetings.
Very
Hella
organized.
energy.
Team meeting,
What's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Oh, that's
Nice.
dope.
Yeah, but I'm a Pisces moon, so I'm super sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely come in the meetings with lots of energy. I'm like, hey guys, how are you today? How you feel? What'd you do? I think our meetings are pretty fun. But yeah, so yeah, everything else is pretty much situational. Like I schedule out my week. Like if it's not in my calendar, it's not happening at all. Even down to stuff for me, like nail salon, like stuff like that has to be in there. Trust me, it won't happen. Fingers falling off. I'm like, oh damn.
Too busy.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say I don't have a set. I actually kind of want more of a set schedule.
How
I
could
wrote
you,
out
though?
like a routine, or just a routine for me. I kind of want the first half of my day to be kind of succinct, like kind of in line, and then everything else, like I'm cool with jumping around with it. But I'd like to be more of an adult to answer the question.
Gotcha. Just to give you a little history on this show, I'm very candid and open with my history with depression. And I figured out about myself during those moments of depression that my only escape from that was podcasts. So when I got to like that place of like freedom, I call it, and I decided I wanted to do the same thing for other people, create a platform, have my opinion heard, and be that same escape for other people who suffer from depression. And I'm curious, do you have a history with depression at all? And is like you working all the time your escape from that? Or is it
this is such an interesting conversation because I've been, you know, it's weird for me because I don't know. I've definitely been depressed before, but I don't know if I have I don't know if I can say like it's a constant thing. I definitely deal with anxiety. That's for sure.
Oh wow, I picked that up from
That's
her.
for
I
sure.
I picked it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not actual
I'm
anxiety,
super
but that
anxious.
you do have it. Yeah.
I definitely deal with anxiety. Like it's hard. Like it's weird because as soon as I get ready to actually go to sleep, my heart is like pounding. I'm like, oh my God.
Why?
Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to sleep because it's hard for me to turn my brain off.
Okay.
You think about everything you gotta do.
You think about
Yeah. So
Yep.
then when it's like I need to be still, like stillness, and I probably should be meditating way more. But when it's time to actually be still, my body and my mind is like panicking. Like, what? What do you mean? What are we doing? We're supposed to be doing something. We're supposed to be doing something.
You're
We're
worried
supposed to be
about
doing
missing something.
I'm like, God, asleep.
You know what helps though? I don't know if you ever
What?
tried it reading, because I also have anxiety. If you
Okay.
if you read something,
Yeah.
just not even something that's dense, just something funny. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That you like, because your mind will start reading that. And then I don't know about you, but if I read for a long time, I get sleepy.
Right.
So
And that's the thing. Start reading my Bible. All of a sudden, ooh, I'm tired. I'm tired, child. Like, oh, sorry, God, but I'm a little sleepy.
Sleep now.
But yeah, anxiety for sure. I will say I will have moments of feeling depressed. I think, the entrepreneurial journey is so crazy. It's so hard. And I think people don't realize that. And I always say too, like, we all show our highlight reel. So, you know, it's hard for, I guess, people to see it. But I mean, most people are not going to, hey, I feel horrible today, y'all. Woo whoop. You know, it's not an easy thing. I think
We're
for me,
conditioned,
it's,
right?
yeah, and it comes with, I I don't know if I'm really hard on myself. So I think it's also the aspect of feeling embarrassed or ashamed or like, oh, I'm not perfect. Everything is not together. Like this, that, and the third is going on. And I think it's because honestly, if we're being real, people kind of act like they would be supportive and kind. And some people would be. But there's also a totally other group that's like writing you off.
Yeah.
And that's like being judgmental and like, oh yeah, they don't, they're a little, and it sucks because I wish people would be able to feel more comfortable, expressing what they're going through. And a big thing for me is understanding being in that place. So I try to make sure people know that it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's
Definitely.
okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
always express my story because I'm pretty sure for the longest time I always kind of like identified myself as like terminally unique. So I always felt like no one else could relate to my situation. But I realized that's not true. So that's why I'm constantly talking about my experiences every week. If I'm feeling it, I'll
Yeah.
express it to the audience and
That's dope.
my co-hosts, So that's interesting that you really just suffer from anxiety, like no real sadness. I hope that continues for you. Truthfully,
What?
like not having really depression because like you
Oh.
said, the entrepreneurial journey is like unpredictable.
I
Kinda.
think it's hard too when you're moving so much. I think it's hard too to know when you're depressed.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
when you're not, because sometimes you just need to be still, and then there's other times you aren't getting out of the bed or you're not moving how you should be moving because you're depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that I would love to see more of is really kind of teaching people what it looks like in all the different forms, because I
Yeah.
think people assume that it's just like, oh,
It's not
the
the same
person's
across
gonna
the
look
board.
sad every day, or they're
Right.
crying all the time, or
Yeah.
they're drinking, or whatever the case is. But it unfolds in so many different ways and so many different forms. And I think the times that I was depressed, nobody noticed. You know what I mean? I noticed, or they just was like, "Oh, she's doing this, she's doing that," or people that would talk. And if I actually told the people that were surrounding me at the time, most of them, that, oh, at this moment in time in my life when this was going on, remind them of the time and said that I was depressed during that time, they would probably not believe me. You know what I mean? And I don't think I'm even a person who people would believe that about. They're like, what? Like, I kind of channel that type of stuff into helping other people.
Right.
And I think sometimes, I don't know, sometimes my work is like that place because it's like, it's a reason to keep going.
You
I
enjoy
would
it,
say.
clearly.
Yeah.
Would you
I do.
almost say you feel like a healer when you're helping people solve some of their issues?
Sometimes. I guess sometimes.
It seems like you don't even think about just helping. You just do it. It's like second nature to you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I just feel like if somebody needs help, why aren't we helping them? I know somebody helped me. So
Right.
one day or several days. And if they didn't, that's even more reason for me to help somebody else. I kind of like the idea of being, telling people things that nobody told me. Being the person that I didn't have to people. I think that's important. I think it's important that people know that they matter. Like, I don't know, it's just important to me. I think, and when you know how it feels, I think you just kind of never want that for anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Definitely.
Can you recall like one lesson that you took from someone, whether it be one of your parents or one of your bosses, that really stuck with you, and you applied to your own company or your own life? That's super like a broad question,
Right.
But
Yeah, that's hard.
that's very hard.
Let me think. Let me think about it for a
If you
second.
want to come back to that,
Yeah.
okay, cool. In terms of like these type of events you do, like all these different ideas that you have, like do you have to be in like a certain mind state? Does it have to be like a certain time of day or a certain type of weather outside, or does it not matter?
When I'm throwing the events or when I'm planning them?
Planning them.
Planning them? Well, I like sunshine. Wednesday's my favorite day of the week. I think it's because I have this theory that because I was born on a Wednesday, it's my favorite day. I just feel amazing on Wednesday. I hop at the bed like, hey, y'all. Like, I'm not even a morning person. But Wednesdays, I'm like, yeah, let's go. I won't say I need to be, well, a lot of my work is myself. It comes from me. So I do better work when I'm in a better mood.
Right.
When I'm not, like if I'm dealing with stuff and like I'm a very emotional person. So if something that's important to me or that's close to me goes wrong, it does take a lot more for me to push through, or I have to trick myself into using it as fuel. Like, okay, you got to get this done because boss up, like you got to get it together. But I would say I'm at my best when I'm like happy and in sunshine. That's why I've been looking at LA lately, you know?
Summer's coming up. It's gonna be sunshine every day, hopefully.
Yeah. A lot of times in the summer, I just take like my iPad and I work in the park all day.
Nice.
I like work in Central Park in the grass. Like I'm like a grass type of person.
That's so cool.
Right.
That's dope.
Thank you.
Do you believe there are certain people out there who market certain like aspects of like their company and their life, like people who use mental health as like a marketing tool? Do you believe those people lack integrity? And would you ever be, if you ever got in yourself in the position to like a check is involved, but you had to market something a certain way that you necessarily didn't agree with, would you do it?
No. I'm big on integrity,
Got
for
it.
better or worse. That is something I'm huge on. Huge on that with the people that I surround myself with. I'm huge on that with the clients I take or don't take. I've turned down thousands of dollars at this point for things that I just feel like didn't align with what I believe in, what I stand for. Especially when it comes to people. I love people. My biggest passions are music and people. So to capitalize off of people, to me, sounds pretty crazy. And just tasteful.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do that. But I do believe definitely that people, like anything else, definitely are at the point where they're using mental health for that. They're using women empowerment. They're using whatever they're using, race relations, anything. And I find it very distasteful. But, you can only control what you can control. And I just try to make sure that the work that I'm doing is, based on integrity and based on true values. Right. And I just support what I believe in, support things that I like, support people I see doing good work. I mean, I guess it's a double-edged sword though, because on one end, it's great that the awareness is happening in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
It just sucks when it's just not necessarily sincere. But who am I to say that somebody might not notice that they're insincere, and that might save their life. So hey, if the message is positive and there is something being done, then I'm happy for that, and that's kind of how I got to look at it.
Right. I wonder how we stop, or at least spread more awareness to the fact that this is actually happening, because people just see like a tweet or an article about something like that, and they'll just get outraged. Like, I just don't know what we do going forward as a people to gain more self-awareness of the fact that people are using certain tools in the marketing aspect to definitely
Get over.
I think support. I always tell people support what you do like.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't give things attention, most things eventually go away. And really champion what you like. I think right now we're in a place where it's outrage culture, and it's like I get
Cancel
it because
culture, right?
I get and cancel culture. Like I get it. Things make me angry too, but you're spending all this energy on things that you don't like, things that are going wrong that you may not. If you don't have an actual gateway to stop it or change it, then you need to be focused on the things you do like. We bypass 5 things that we do like, 5 people we know that are doing the right thing, to yell about one thing that's not even within our reach, but that we see that's happening that we don't like. So my thing is, I think the best way to combat those things is to not give them attention, because most of these platforms, companies, whoever, know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They know how to get us angry, riled up. Yeah. And so they just, whatever works.
Yeah.
That's
Whatever sells, right?
Whatever sells, whatever it takes.
Right.
It's about the bottom line. And so, I just say champion, what you do care about. Like even, with Nipsey passing, rest in peace, I saw somebody mention Nipsey did great things, and it's like, to continue to work, support the Nipseys around you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't double tap and keep scrolling. Support. Find out a way to support. It's not always monetary. You could volunteer your time. If you can't volunteer your time, share it. Say a kind word. Yeah. This is dope what you're doing. Something. But I think we gotta start championing the things the things that are positive and that we do like. I think I just focusing on what you don't like, I feel like, is a lose-lose formula.
I agree.
When
I
people
agree.
when people close to you don't necessarily support or is active with their support, does that offend you? Does it make you upset? Because I'm constantly talking about that, how people close to me didn't support this when I was first starting, and people called me selfish, and I can agree with that. I can agree that's a bit selfish to get upset and feel some type of way.
Yeah, I don't know how
'Cause-
selfish you are because I think one, it depends on the people. I think you learn very quickly whenever you're doing something that everyone's not going to support you, or they may not necessarily support you in the way that you feel like you need to be supported or you want to be supported. Depending on who the person is, I think it's worth it to express how you feel, or just take it for what it is because again, you are what you focus on, right? And so if I focus on, my 5 friends from high school who maybe don't support me as much when I have almost 5,000 people who support me every day,
Right.
what are we doing here? You know what I mean? It's like I'm not really focusing on the right things. And it hurts. It does.
Yes.
And it hurts you because it's like you know me for real.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, I watch you support people you do not know.
Yeah.
And or support things that are not, or I've definitely been in a situation where I'm not being supported, but support is expected of me.
It's the worst.
And that's like, whoa, like,
point.
okay,
hate
but,
that.
and not to be petty, but it's just like, okay, the one moment I can't come through for you, it's a big issue.
Right.
But mind you, when I've been looking for the support for a
Yeah.
while
See
now
it.
from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just get to a point where I'm like, I'll just accept this relationship for what it is. I accept people for who they are. I accept them for the place that they do have in my life. Everybody can't be everything to you.
That's a fact.
And so it's just kind of like, okay, you serve this purpose. Somebody else may serve a different purpose. And you know what? If it gets to the point where I feel like you don't serve any purpose, then maybe I just need to think about who I have around me and I can love you from a distance or love you for who you are. You know what I mean? Because another thing is you also get to the point where things start really popping off and blowing up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everybody deserves a seat on your private jet. No, you got to think about, it's all love, but that's when you think about it. I think also I think people struggle with this too. I do. I know I do. The longer the relationship as well, the more you have this space in your head of like loyalty to the person.
Yeah.
And you feel like, oh, because I've had this friendship or whatever it is so long, or even a family member, it's like, you have this feeling like you owe them a certain, like you got to stay
Obligation. You feel
connected.
obligated
Like,
to them, yeah.
you feel obligated to them. But honestly, I'm in a place where I'm doing a little bit of an audit. I'm kind of figuring out like, okay, I've been through a lot in the past, I'll say 3 years, right? Running a company, doing all this stuff. And I feel like I'm shifting. I'm entering a new phase. With that, everybody can't come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can always be somebody you care about. You can always love them. You can show up for them when you should, share big moments. Cool. But who is actually sitting at my table with me?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, who's at the table and who's kind of like in the living room on the couch chilling? You know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, you have to really assess, like, who's really here for you? Like, who's here?
Who has your back?
Who has your back and who is actually supporting you? And I feel like focus on those people.
Right.
Like,
I
focus
agree.
on them. Like, and I think the more you focus on those people, the kind of less it might always bother you, but I think the less you're able or have time to focus on that, you kind of get to a place where you just accept it. It's like, okay, this is, because, sometimes those people are just not in the same place as you.
I think it really stems from like jealousy
You
at
know?
times.
Yeah,
And
definitely. It could
envy
be
for
that.
sure.
It could be envy. And again, it doesn't mean they don't love you. It doesn't mean they're actually hating on you or what you're doing. But I know this is true because I had a friend, very good friend of mine, and we fell out. Nothing really happened, but like we just suddenly, I was just like, damn, okay, what I do? But I
Apart,
was
kind of maybe, right?
yeah, yeah. And so like I kept moving on with my life because I had stuff to do. And then I remember actually reconnecting and I was like, yeah, I don't know what happened. And he told me like, look, like you were doing what you said you were going to do. He was like, you were doing it. You were moving. You were making moves and I wasn't. He was like, I wasn't. He was like, I just really was slacking. I wasn't doing shit. Like, and I just couldn't be around you because that, and he was like, I know it sounds bad, but like I couldn't take that. So
respect
I
that.
At
just,
least he was honest.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'll always respect that. We never really got to this day. We never really got back to being close friends like we were. But again, I respect the honesty, and it at least told me, one, okay, that's going to happen. And two, it's not you. So don't take it personal
It's
when
not.
it happens.
It's like when people hate on you or they're jealous, it's because they have an issue with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like when they say success breeds jealousy, it's really true. Because sometimes you shining is a reflection to that person of what they're not doing, and it's a constant reminder.
It's true.
I feel like we just had this conversation. Like you doing all these shows and stuff. Like I have imagined like people you came up with are kind of a bit salty about them not being on the bill with you.
That's
or
crazy.
even
I
getting
had this
invited to these
conversation
events.
earlier
Yes.
today.
Wow.
So
Yes,
that's
like not to drop no names, but there was an artist I was working with. I feel like low key he was definitely a little envious because I was just pushing harder. Like all I do is work hard. I'm
and
not,
it's
I'm
subtle.
not better than nobody.
Sometimes
you know what I'm
it's
saying?
so subtle.
Yeah.
And you pick up on certain things, and it's like, damn. And for me, it hurts when it's, again, because I'm always trying to help somebody.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wow. Sometimes it's people that like, wow, I've been dropping your name
Yes.
in like rooms and
Yes.
pots, and
Yes.
like I've been really supporting you. I'm in my plans. I'm including you. Like, oh, well, this
Yes.
person does this. Oh, I could definitely use that. And then all of a sudden, it's just a shady day, and it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
damn. You know what I mean?
People
it
forget about
sucks.
you.
Yeah.
It sucks, but sometimes people hate how other people love you.
That's a
That's a
fact.
fact.
Oh my
That's a
God.
fact.
That's an amazing thing to say.
Crazy.
Where do you think that
but
starts from?
So
Is
wait,
it the
she
lack
has to
of?
repeat that again. Repeat that again.
Please.
Sometimes people hate how other people love you.
I gotta put. Can I put that on?
Absolutely.
That's
Do
some
you
bars.
do?
Status,
Do
like-
you?
Yeah.
I
You about
don't
to
know
steal
where-
it.
I've
Yo,
heard
shout her
it.
out,
I
yo.
don't think-
Add her, yo.
I
Don't
don't
got
think I
you.
made that up for the record. I feel like I heard it somewhere before, but it's something that you have to remind yourself of. I actually think this is great. We talking about this because I literally was having this conversation earlier today, and that's how I've been feeling. I'm just like, damn, why? It's uncomfortable to feel like people don't like you if your intentions are pure,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's uncomfortable to feel like people are finding a reason to not like you or finding a reason to hate you when you've done nothing but be kind. Like
Yeah.
it sucks, but it definitely says a lot more about them than it does you. And there's a saying that if nobody ain't hating, you probably ain't doing nothing worth notable. I guess that's supposed to make us
Nah,
feel
yeah.
better.
I feel
but-
you on
Yeah.
that though. Because at least
Yeah.
you're doing something that's getting attention and is being judged. Like anything, especially in the creative aspect, art is supposed to, have reactions. Not everybody's supposed to love your art.
That's
Not
true.
everybody's supposed to, It's supposed to be people to critique and be negative.
And to build off that, have you received any criticism from anything you've done throughout your career ever? And how did you take that and deal with that?
Never directly. Never directly, which is funny. But I feel like we've seen things, especially with the events that Kim and I throw. We've definitely seen things. We've seen little commentary here and there. And I'm just always like, why y'all bothering the two little black girls that's just throwing, we just throwing our little events and doing what we're doing. We're just having a good time, like literally. But I mean, it happens. Like I said, it's never direct. So if it is ever anything that's being said, I don't think anybody has the balls to say it to my face. The thing about me is I'm not a person who's I'm not super confrontational. I actually don't like confrontation at all. And I'm nice. I'm literally nice to everybody.
Yeah.
So I was having somebody talking. They were like, "Oh, my friend was like telling someone else. She was like, if Janae doesn't like you, you have gone above and beyond. Like you're just
You're
doing
evil.
the most. Yeah, something's wrong. Everybody else is looking at you like, okay, what's wrong with you? And vice versa. It's like, I don't know. I guess somebody said that too. Like, you're hard to dislike. So if you openly find a reason not to like me, you're probably a hater.
Yeah.
Everybody's
I can see
probably
that.
gonna be like, okay,
Very
well,
possible.
yeah, you're just mad. But yeah, nobody's ever. Oh, I wouldn't say openly criticize anything I did. Maybe when I was working at labels and stuff, people would criticize like the artist, but that comes to territory. You know what I mean? Like there's always gonna be, like you said, it's always gonna be, it's art. So people are going to react how they're going to react. They're going to receive how to receive it. Most people don't even know how they really feel when they first hear or see something. It takes a minute. We always get the, oh, yeah, I wasn't really feeling this artist at first, but now, I
grew
rock
on
with it.
me.
It grew
Yeah,
on
yeah.
me. It grew on me. Oh, shut up. You don't know what
Played
you
a
want.
few times.
Right.
I think I've definitely said that before in reference to like J. Cole. I think I've said that many
Wow,
times.
that's my favorite rapper.
He has
Really?
something personally against J. Cole.
No, I don't nothing.
Really?
Nothing personal. It's just
Messing with
I don't know.
It's okay.
It took a while. The last album got me.
It's okay.
I'm here, Cole.
Wow, that's great because so many fans and people that do listen to him didn't like the last album. But I said that album wasn't for y'all.
Yes,
for
it wasn't
us.
his tradition.
Like this was him. Like this was him talking about stuff he really needed to get off, and like I think that album helped a lot of people.
I agree.
And this looks like the best album to perform live. Like I need some energy, and most of J. Cole's songs were kind of monotone, mellow.
People say that.
Just a little chill, a
People
little too.
say
Like
that.
I don't know.
She's like.
But I've always, because I don't know, I've always had certain expectations for him. I always wanted to do something a little bit more energetic, and he did that on this album a bit.
I get that. He's my favorite rapper, but I can definitely I've had so many of these conversations, so at this point, I get that. I get both sides. Like I get the criticism part too. I'm a big fan, so I also have to consider that he could put out A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I might bop my head anyway, but you know. I get it. And I get people wanting certain things from him. I get sometimes people missing that it sounds so monotone because he's saying a lot. Like, he's like this type of artist, like, he gets on the track and he's talking.
Yeah. It's never the message that I'm against. It's just the delivery.
Yeah, you want to be entertained. And I don't know if he's always everybody's cup of tea when it comes to being entertained. So.
What other artists are you a fan of? Give us the top 5 if you can.
Oh, wow. Top 5. Damn. What are we talking? Rappers?
Yeah, let's go.
You know, I'm going to just name the people that come to my head. I don't know order. I don't know anything. J. Cole. I really like Jhené Aiko. How you like? Some of my friends would laugh at me because they'd be saying, like, oh, you just going to put on some Jhené Aiko. J. Cole, Jhené. Honestly, I don't want to say this and it sound like it's because, you know, he's not with us anymore, but I actually really like Nipsey. And Victory Lap got me through a lot last year. I like Nipsey. I'll just name artists that I like. I don't know if this is my top 5 anymore.
Gotcha.
I'm listening to DaBaby's album.
Yeah,
I like
that's underrated.
It's a good listen all the way through. It's good. Like even the songs that aren't singles are bops. I saw him perform live during South by Southwest. Sometimes that's it for me too. I have to see you perform and it all comes together. I think a lot of people like that. And it comes together. It's like, oh, okay. Then you listen to the music differently. Yeah. Because you've seen the person in their element. You've seen the whole entire room rock. Like it's a different vibe. Let's throw back. I'm a bad boy baby. So anything Bad Boy Entertainment, I'm listening to that.
Anything that's still around currently that Diddy didn't ruin.
That's my boy. Yeah. I love Diddy. He's made his mistakes for sure.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of mess, but he's also a staple in music, and I could not imagine music without him.
Facts. Yeah,
music
that's a
today
fact.
or culture.
Yeah.
Without him today. Was that like 5? I think that was like 4.
Yeah.
We there.
Yeah,
I really like Snow Allegra, and I like her song I Want You Around. It's a great record.
Check that out.
It's new. It's a great record.
Did Nipsey's passing like affect your spirit in any way? Did it make you lose heart in our people and the world? Because you do see the good in people
Yeah, it really upset me a lot. I definitely shook my core a bit. But it put a battery in my back. It's the weirdest experience because I'm so sad about it. But it's like this motivational sadness where it was like, I got to get up off my ass and I got to keep it going.
Yeah.
The saddest thing for me is that he, I feel like he's somebody like me. You just want to help. You want to see people do better. You want to do better for yourself and your family, but paying it forward. And I don't think there aren't as many people like that as I would like in the world. And so I felt like, damn, one of us, like one of me, like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? We lost that or it was stolen from us. And that hurt me a lot. I was just like, damn, it's not that many of us that's dedicated to doing this. Like, really, God? Like, damn. But, yeah, it hurt me a lot. Definitely shifted my energy for a while. I was really, really sad. And the day of his funeral, I actually had to go. I was a guest on a junior high school podcast.
Awesome.
I know.
So you post on that.
My friend Ari, he teaches at a school and teaches after school and stuff, and he has them like doing a podcast and learning how to DJ and starting how to engineer and stuff. It's so cool. And like I was literally, I think probably the saddest I was about Nipsey may have been the day of the funeral, because of course it was just so much at one time. And I just remember I was like, damn, I'm sad, but I gotta go be 100% for these kids because, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you sad about a person, and this person would be like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to take care of it because this is important. Like, the youth are important. Them knowing that they're important is important. And I got to tell them a little bit about Nipsey because they're young, so they don't totally get it all the way. But, yeah, it's unfortunate. But I feel like at least right now we have a wave of people looking beyond themselves, which doesn't happen often. Everybody's so focused on trying to make it, trying to get to it, trying to be lit, trying to work on their own shit. And I get it. I appreciate it. But there's so much happening around us. And if I think we just helped each other a little bit more, I think, honestly, the road would be a little smoother. And just thinking beyond yourself and thinking about, you know, the next generation or just your community. Like, you know, people said there's Nipsey's all over the place.
Yeah.
We walk past people that need help every day, you know, and sometimes we gravitate towards celebrating bigger things. And it's like when I see somebody doing something, I'm like, ooh, how can I do that where I'm at?
Right.
Or what space or neighborhood do I know where I can do that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just kind of how I think. Like, I saw somebody who was like, it's a really old video. They posted it months ago, but somebody I started following, and they were showing how many different items and toiletries and stuff that they gave to the homeless. And I'm like, oh, duh, bet. Okay, where I'm doing that. Let me pick an area.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, I've been in this city and that city recently, and that really actually bothered me, the homeless problem. So I'm like, okay, let me do some research and figure out how, like, what I can do. You know what I mean? With what I have, with who I know, with my resources. And I think the beauty in, you know, Nipsey's passing, one of the most beautiful things, if we, you know, because, you know, I don't like death, but I think there is some sort of beauty in it most times, is that I think everybody's looking as to how they can help, what they can do.
The information's out there. Like, I was going through like a rabbit hole of all his interviews, and he left so many gems I wasn't even aware of that he did. And everything that he said he wanted to do, he did. And I was just very fascinated by that and inspired by that. I'm inspired by you as well, because it seems like everything you thought, you kind of manifested in a way with your
Power
company.
of the mind, people.
Yeah, power of manifestation is something I'm very, very big on. That's also why I do the vision board and affirmation workshops, is because I think it's important to visualize what it is that you want and kind of start to put that plan together of action, and know that, like, anything that you think of, good or bad, you can see, you know, happen. And the affirmation part is pretty much affirming it, because it's going to take work. And I think you got to be mentally prepared for that part too.
I can probably guess everyone's answer to this question, but the debate post Nipsey passing is people shouldn't go back to where they're from and to the hood or whatever to give back, because certain things like that, like what happened with Nipsey, will happen again. Do you guys agree with that?
No.
I feel like it's not necessarily you shouldn't go back, but I think you should take different precautions when you go back. Reality is you have a very familiar face. People know who you are. People know what you're worth. Not everybody's going to love that. Not everybody's going to like that.
True.
So you can't be that accessible where people can just walk up to you when you're at a certain level, because it is dangerous. You know what I mean? But that shouldn't stop you from showing up and contributing to the community that pretty much helped raise the experiences and the personality that you have.
But, like, even if you have security, like, there's still the risk of someone getting hurt. Just so if your presence, if you're a big presence, that's going to draw attention from everyone. So, like,
that's true.
It's like, what do you really do? I mean, I wouldn't say totally avoid your hometown because that's where you came from, whatever, but
show up to controlled environments.
I didn't know him. We didn't know him, but I feel like that would have been, like, kind of how you say that's the opposite of what, like, you know, I have integrity. That's the opposite of how I am. I couldn't agree with that. I couldn't co-sign. I feel like that wouldn't be, Nipsey not being in the hood would not have been something he could have done. Like, that's part of him. Part of him to give back and to reach out to his community and help them wouldn't be from delegating to other people and then checking in on it later and see how it's come about.
Right.
He's in it from the inception to it being carried out to, you know, the end result, checking in on it, like, throughout. So I feel like that was just how he was. It was part of him. You know?
He was conditioned to it.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It doesn't seem.
It's not. It makes you sad.
Not that I would want to trade someone else for Nipsey. I mean, maybe Trump, but, like, it just doesn't seem fair that he's gone. He's gone the way he was.
But at the end of the day, he is in a better place, and, you know, his energy isn't dissipated. It's not.
Yeah,
It's gonna
it's
keep
never
going.
anywhere.
I hope there's a transition in hip hop, specifically. Like people want to do more. I mean, Jay-Z's kind of like the Robin Hood of hip hop, in my opinion. But like, I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I even think about Jay-Z though. You know, I think it is about taking precaution and about just who you are. Because again, I don't think Nipsey. That was him. Like he that was him. Like being there and actually touching the people. I think all you can do is take precautions. I didn't really like those conversations about you know, turning your back on the hood once you make it kind of thing. I thought those were pretty ignorant. But I understood there were a lot of emotions going on. And so people were angry. They were scared. They were upset.
They were
and
reacting.
They were reacting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to get that. I'm pretty sure if you sit down with those people a month from now, they may not say it the same way at least. But you know, yeah, you gotta be careful. You just gotta be careful, and it's all you can do because you honestly you can get hurt. If something gonna happen to you, it can happen to you anywhere. I know people put that stamp on the hood because it's a less quote unquote controlled environment, but you gotta be careful everywhere.
Right.
I gotta be careful walking into a corporate building. I gotta be careful wherever. Somebody could, you know what I'm saying, shank you walking into the Empire State, like God forbid. You know what I mean? Like anything can happen at any time. But I don't think it's fair to turn our backs on where we're from. I personally, that's not something I could do. I totally get. One thing I do know, you know, there is a lot of envy and stuff like that, and not everybody is happy for you, like you said. So I do believe in being careful and maybe not always making yourself as accessible. Like I try to. Every time I see it happen, I do think like, okay, maybe don't necessarily live there. Come do what you got to do and, you know, still find that balance between touching the people and keeping you and your family safe. And I'm not saying that Nipsey didn't do that. I really, truly think that this was a very, like, unfortunate thing that happened, and he had the purest of intentions. So it's crazy that it happened. But we've seen it in other situations where people were kind of just chilling. They weren't really doing anything for anybody. They just was, you know, on the block chilling in the Phantom. You know what I mean? And, you know, I think you got to pick and choose, like, you know, what it is, you know, how accessible you're allowing yourself to be and just always be on your toes. It sucks that you got to be like that, but
To do
you
good,
know,
you gotta be
the
careful to
price
do
of
good.
success.
heavy
Like,
as the head that wears the
crazy?
crown. Like you
Yeah.
got, you know, you are a big deal.
Yeah.
And you got to protect yourself. You know, I always say like how we protect our phones.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, ain't
Yeah,
nothing
teach
happening.
yourself
What?
like that.
You ain't
that
you
gas
ain't going.
when that phone falls is
Yes.
like you
So
about to lose
concerned.
everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like you dropped
when
the
you don't
baby.
know where it's
Yeah.
at for 30 seconds. You
Yeah.
like, oh wait,
Oh
where's
my
my
God.
phone? Where's my
Yeah.
phone? Where's my phone? Where's my
It's the
phone?
end of the
Like,
world,
That's how you
goddammit.
got to treat
Yeah.
yourself.
I
You
agree.
know.
I hate that. I actually think about that all the time. I lose my phone a lot. I'm just thinking like all my information's in it. Like my password is probably so easy to figure out.
Oh my
like
God, God forbid.
how do we get back to where I don't care about this
Right.
anymore?
I've lost my phone in my pocket before. More than once. And that in itself says that I be doing too
That's
much.
so
So
funny.
I'm like, where's my phone? I mean, I've had a team of people looking for my phone.
It's just
And
in
then
your
when somebody
pocket.
finally calling, it's like, bzz, I'm like, oh.
I did it on a plane once.
Thanks,
I got.
guys.
I had everybody in the plane, not everybody in the plane, everybody in my aisle get up and look for the phone, and it turns out it was in my pocket.
Oh my.
Because I'd fallen asleep with it in my pocket, and then woke up and I was like,
You
"Where's
thought
my
it
phone?
fell.
Oh my God!" And they were helping. I was like, "Oh, sorry guys."
My phone
wouldn't- I
actually
wouldn't have
fell
helped
on
you.
a plane
They were
last
very nice.
month. But it actually fell, and it was like under the seat, but it was like disappeared.
That's
and
what
I'm
I
like,
thought.
Where is it?
That's
the
what I
lady
thought.
next to me was looking. The man behind me was half asleep. He was like, I don't see anything. So when he
didn't even look. He didn't look.
He didn't look at
Damn
all.
it.
Because when the plane landed, the lady next to me, she clearly was somebody's mom. She was like, excuse me, look under your seat. Is her phone there? And then she found it. I was like, thank you, miss.
Hey.
Let me be responsible now.
What's even like the feeling of the phone vibrating, but it's not vibrating at all? Like,
Oh my God.
that's so
I was
creepy.
thinking I'm tripping.
God,
Yeah.
yo,
I'm
on God,
yeah,
that happens.
that's
to me.
happened.
It's
That
so
happens to me
creepy.
today.
That's so creepy.
It's
definitely happened.
It does
especially when
happen.
my phone is in my bed for some reason. And I'm like peeking at it like,
Yeah.
are you really vibrating? You playing with me? Like, yeah.
Do you have anyone like that you consider like an idol that you have influenced you on your way into creating this company? Like anyone you can name?
No idols because idols become rivals.
That's fact.
But there are people that I seriously look up to. Oprah, of course. A big inspiration for me is Karen Civil.
She's amazing, yeah.
She's so amazing, so amazing. I actually was able to start connecting with her recently, which is really cool. She's someone I've looked up to from the beginning, so much so that I thought I was going to have a website. I had no idea I was going to have an agency. But I was like, this is cool. She's so dope. She's doing her thing, and I just think she's so dope. She's just constantly leveling up. And doing so with integrity, and I think that's amazing. I think what she's been able to do with her career on her own terms is a beautiful thing to see.
It's inspirational.
And super inspirational. I'll always, do my best to champion that. I think that's dope.
I mostly ask that because, like, I feel like when you have idols, you kind of look at them as competition at some point. So are you a competitive person? Do you feel you have to keep up with the Joneses and try to be ahead of the curve every time, or do you just work and enjoy the journey?
I do. I just, for the most part, I work and enjoy the journey, but I think I am competitive to the point where I do want to be the best, and my goal is to be the best. Anybody ask me, what's the goal for your company? It's to be the top marketing agency amongst our target demographic.
So would you say
number one?
You compete with others or you compete with yourself?
A lot of it is competing with myself because I don't think that I want anything else that anyone else has.
Good answer.
I don't think I have for example, Karen Civil, as dope as she is, if we sat down and talked about what our goals are, I don't think it would be the exact same thing. I think it sucks because people try to group, especially women, try to group us all into a lump. And it's just like, oh, and then it becomes this competitive thing. And it's not that. I have a very clear vision of what I have and what I want to do, what I want to see. I have different strengths than other people do. I have different weaknesses than other people do. And I think that, you're not dimming your own light by somebody else's shining. If you're shining here, I'm shining over there in another way. And it's really competing with myself. Like, I got to be my own top scorer every single day. And if I'm not doing that, then it maybe wasn't the best day. And I got to try again tomorrow and try to double up. I actually really don't like when people do the whole competitive thing because it's just like, yo, your gifts are your gifts. What God gave to you, you have, and that's it. There's only one of you.
Exactly. We can grow together way faster than we can try to get ahead of each other.
Or just mutually respect each other and keep it pushing. Like, don't use me as your little chip on your shoulder. Like, that's super weird, but people do that.
People do it.
Like, don't use me for that. I don't need any of that energy around me. Like, I'm trying to do what I'm doing. I'm trying to do it peacefully. You know what I mean? If you need some inspiration, go listen to a dope podcast like the one we're on right now.
Yes,
go
please.
Pray. Go read some quotes, read some books. Go take in the sunshine, but do not do that. I think the whole competing with people thing is whack.
I agree. I remember I saw Diddy on Instagram talking about that, and he said, one of the reasons he was so successful is because he literally didn't care about what other people were doing.
Yeah, like don't
You're so
look at
busy
that.
about your business. You shouldn't even be worried about it. He said, I didn't even know what other people were doing because I'm so focused on what I'm doing.
Listen, and I think sometimes when you are, it's weird because you feel like, oh, I should keep up with what everybody else is doing just so I know what's going on, what's out there.
Right.
But somewhere I forget what I was listening to or what I was reading, and they were like, don't look at any of it.
None of it.
They were like, because just focus on what you're doing.
That's
focus on what you're doing. Anything you're supposed to see, it'll come across your eye view. But you get sucked in. Everybody does it. You on Instagram, you scrolling, and you're like, oh, this person's doing this. Damn, they doing that. Damn, they doing that too. Mind you, your list of things is not done.
Not done.
Yep.
But now you feeling like you suck because you don't, whatever highlight they posted, you didn't get. And it's just like, yo, focus on your own thing. There's only one you. If there's anything I could throw into people's heads, it's just like, yo, it's just you. It's you. You're amazing. You're great. And it's you. I know people don't believe those positive things anymore, but it's true.
It's absolutely
like,
true.
if you leave the world today,
There's only one of you.
there's something
only one
missing.
copy.
Yeah.
Unless you're a twin. There's only one.
And even then, don't they have different fingerprints still? Like,
At least so,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's just like, yo,
You're still unique.
That's it. What you had to, the reason why you here is the reason why you here. And there's nothing that can take that away from you.
I wish I heard that like when I was first starting out the planning phases of this podcast because the market is so oversaturated. Everyone has a podcast.
But so is TV.
Yeah.
So are movies.
So is music.
But if
So
I'm
is
realizing,
everybody's a
so
rapper.
Is
I'm
toilet
realizing
paper.
not
so
everyone's
is toilet paper.
Right. Toilet paper.
yes, but not everyone's having these conversations. What I'm trying to get at. So like that's
Exactly.
why I move with more confidence these days.
Good job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been on a podcast that went this deep before. That's something I'm gonna
Aw,
say.
Oh, yeah?
When I'm posting this is what I'm gonna say. Like, this is a real candid conversation. People don't talk about this. Most people, they talk about the same thing. It's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
That was my first
Okay.
question. I ain't gonna lie.
And that's fine. You have to ask that.
Yeah,
though.
start
I
off,
had
but not
a
to
Is that shade?
Icebreaker.
No,
I'm
no,
joking, I'm
because
joking.
what's
Funny.
a good guy? They were a client of mine, and when we were working together, I told them that I was like, ask people what they do, but make sure you're focused on your niche. Like, what do you guys bring to the table? What is the focus here? Like, make sure you do that. You have to ask people where they're from, what they do, whatever. Like, who are they? You can't
What's
unless
your
you're doing
sign?
unless you're doing anonymous and like, okay, incognito.
Right.
But you guys bring something special to the table, and
Thank you.
that's why it's dope. I've never had this type of. Nobody asked me these types of questions. They don't ask me that.
Yeah.
They don't ask me nothing about that ever. So that's cool.
My next question actually was that you were on TMZ recently.
Yeah, so it's so cool, right?
How did that come about?
Oh man, so you're going to LA soon, right?
Yeah.
Go on TMZ.
Do the
Promote
TMZ
the brand.
tour. Let me know how it
Promote the
is.
brand.
Yeah.
Yes, the TMZ tour bus. So first of all, I gotta be real. I was like, is this gonna be stupid? I was like, but all the other tours look extra whack. I'm like, okay, those look boring. And I had some time to kill in between meeting with some other friends, because when I was in LA, I was doing a lot of stuff by myself, which was so fun because I'm really independent. But I don't know if I've been able to do that in a while. Or in New York, not as much. Like, I had whole days where I was just like, oh, I'm running around, I'm doing stuff, hey. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I got like 3 hours of time blocked off. Let me do something. So I go on a tour. I sit right in the front, and there was a tour guide. And there's a point in the tour where they're like, oh, if you ever want to be on TMZ Live, just fill out this little piece of paper and give it back to me. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I fill it out. He collected all the cards. First of all, he was like, wait till the end to give it to me. I was sitting right in front of him. So I was like, here you go. And he was like, I definitely said wait. And I was like, well, you're right here. And so mine was really on the bottom of the pile. So I still, to this day, I'm not sure why they chose me. They probably look people up, because I'm like, that don't make no sense.
Wait, did
Why
ask
they
for like
took-
your social media and all that?
I
Or?
don't remember. I keep trying to remember, but I don't think I don't know. But my name, somebody said to me the other day, they were like, if you type in your name on Google, though, they were like, stuff starts to pop up. So I was like, okay, I don't know. Maybe it was just God. They hit me up like as soon as I got back to New York, like, hey, we want you to come on the show. Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah. And so I go on, and it's like a whole process, but they don't give you the topics to choose from till the morning of. And then even then, you get to choose like 3, and then they choose one for you. So, of course, they gave me that one that wasn't with the black people. I was like, fine, whatever.
Damn, you Harvey.
Because I definitely picked all the black topics. I picked all the black topics and then one, because I was like, okay, I feel like this story is interesting. And they gave me the interesting story. And so, yeah, I did it. It was so much fun. I made Harvey and them laugh, and they hit me back like, hey, we're going to hit you back up in a month to come on again. And so
nice. That was
hopefully I'll be
energy,
back
honey.
on
That was
again.
energy.
That's dope.
That was
Yeah,
energy.
thank you.
Cool.
Hopefully I'll be on again. But the tour bus is dope.
Yeah.
I learned so much about Los Angeles, and I remember things. Like, I feel like I know where to go, because they associate every place with a moment in pop culture. So it's not just, oh, this is the courthouse. It's like, oh, this is the courthouse where Lindsay Lohan or somebody, whatever happened. Oh, this is not just a street in Beverly Hills. This is the stop sign where Kanye walked into it and bumped his head, unfortunately.
I do remember that.
You know? So it was all these little things, like, and then even older stuff, like this place called Pink's Hot Dogs, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Pink's.
like Mel Gibson proposed to somebody there, and like it's been around all this time, and so this crazy stuff. I went to church on Sunday, and Pink's was up the street. I was like, oh my God, wow, this is the place. Hot dogs was slamming, and I'm not, like, again, on a regular day, I'm not running around eating hot dogs. But
If you are, you're a sick person.
yeah, it's a little weird if that's your thing. But do your thing, exercise, drink water.
Flush that shit out.
Yeah, there was a lot of nonsense on them hot dogs too. But everything in LA is cleaner. Like, even though it's nonsense, you eat it and you feel like you can still breathe, walk around.
Yeah.
In New York, you eat something, you be like, oof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Lay down.
I need a second. I need a
Lay
second. Like, no
down.
matter how much water you drinking, but everything's cleaner. I heard that the laws there are stricter
They're very
on
strict, yeah.
food and like health and stuff like that. But yeah, have fun. After this, we'll talk. I'll tell you all the places to go. But
Please.
definitely do the TMZ tour. Everyone
Sounds
who's
fun.
Put
listening.
this on my list.
TMZ
Yeah.
tour. And if you get on, promote the show
Yes,
and your
you have to,
music
of
and all
course.
that stuff.
Fill out that card.
Promote.
Right. Yes, it's so fun.
Yeah. I was gonna ask though, like being around this guy, like I've seen how he acts in like events he's a part of that he's curated. He acts kind of real professional. He doesn't really seem like he's kind of there to have fun. He's there to work. I'm curious if you're the same way. Do you have time, like if you curated a party, do you get to drink and dance, or are you just in
Towards
work
the end.
mode? Okay,
Towards the end, usually. I mean, people buy me drinks like because they're happy to see me, and like I usually get to take maybe a sip, maybe two, and then I either give it away, or or I'm just like, there's a lot of running around.
You're focused on the event.
Yeah, and I think with the parties especially. Yeah, me and Kim are both running around, but I know people come to see us, so I try to like at least let it be like if she can like more so like be in the party partying, and then I'm just like, all right, running back and forth, making sure stuff is together. We both do, but I think we just find a balance in those types of things, and we know when to let the other person just party and chill, and then the other person kind of, all right, let me take care of this real quick.
you take shifts for the drinks.
Yeah, basically. But towards the end, I'd be like, woo, it's lit. We got the count. The bar's good. Hey, everybody got paid. Let's do it. Yeah, so it's a balance, but I'm always working, even then, because it's like I got to first one in, last one out.
Gotcha.
So
That's interesting. I want to go to one of your next parties.
you should.
Definitely.
Well, what's
He
your next
invited
one again?
himself.
You want to shout it out?
Oh, yeah. So we're doing a day party sponsored by
drinking.
Bel Air. Yes. On May 4th. So Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Dope.
I think it's going to be from like 6 to 12, 5, something like that. Information coming soon. We'll drop it like
in the
at
city
least
or?
a week before. Yeah, it'll be in the city or Brooklyn, but we're leaning towards the spot in the city that we've seen, that we've
Interesting.
been talking to.
So I'm a huge advocate for like self introspection. I believe we all need to just look in the mirror sometimes and just check ourselves. Do you do that ever? And if you don't, have you realized some things you may need to change about yourself going forward if you want to make your company progress more?
I think I do that. I think I'm relatively very self-aware, and I try to be more self-aware. Sorry, anybody watching, like I keep scratching my nose. I think I'm allergic to like air conditioned dust. I always tell
Yeah.
people this. I'm like, I look crazy. No, I don't engage in other things.
They're
My
definitely
nose is
watching.
literally- I know. They're
They're
like,
watching.
why she keep itching that nose? Like that's how you stay happy? No, it's allergies.
Imagine.
Right, it's allergies. But anyways, I'm very self-aware, and I do try to do like, I guess I use the word audit. I think that's my word of the week is audit. I do look little audits on myself, and especially when I feel upset, angry, any types of emotions. Everybody feels them. Jealousy, envy, sadness, whatever it is I'm feeling, I like to take stock of it. Even happiness. Like, okay, well, why am I feeling like this in this moment? What contributed to the moment? And so, there's some things definitely about myself that I'm working on right now, and that I know I need to get past in order to push to the next level, because that's usually what it's about. As soon as you master one thing, you notice the other things. Life is a constant journey to self,
If you don't
betterment.
mind, can you give us an example?
An example of things I'm working on? Definitely discipline. Like I'm super unorthodox and I'm super creative. So the bigger my business gets, the more I have to just be more disciplined in things. And sometimes it's not even the work that needs to be more disciplined. It's how I treat myself. So again, remember I was like, I want to get more on a consistent schedule, like how I start my day, because all of that contributes to how much energy I can put into my work, how I interact with people. And so, yeah, definitely discipline is a big thing for me right now.
What are you guys working on yourselves for?
Actually, the same discipline. I'm realizing that once I have gotten to a certain age, I don't have enough of it. I usually like to exercise my right to do whatever the hell I want and luxuriate in that time. But just in an effort to be more organized and be more productive, just being more disciplined with myself. So,
What are you working on, sir?
I'm working on spending more time by myself because I'm a very social person. Like I know I've been kind of quiet today, but not like on a regular. Like I'm super energetic. That's because I was at the gym playing ball today.
You tired?
But I'm really learning that when I'm by myself, I have more time to do research on the things that I need to know in the music industry about building my company and stretching it. So it's just like I'm just working on that right now because I overextend myself and try to support everybody around me because I have so many friends who are artists and they have shows all the time. You know what I mean? So it's just like I'm always trying to show up and be there because like you, I like to be that person I wish I had. You know what I'm saying? For other people. Because, you know, I like people to know, like, if they tell me about something, I'm going to be there. If I say I'm going to be there. You know what I mean? I'm that one person that will really come to your show. You're going to know I'm there because I'm going to be, like, the hypest fan supporter in the crowd because that's just who I am and what I would like to receive. But so I'm just working on spending more time with myself and not going out as much, but still having to, because, you know, just doing what's mad necessary.
Like that.
Yeah, I go out a lot.
I used to be like that.
Yeah, you do be busy. You never be in a group chat. You're always out somewhere.
Aw.
I reply later,
one to
though.
answer the text.
But there's a trick. There's
was
a trick
me.
for that, though. I mean, I used to be like that, and I was everywhere doing everything all the time. I never sat down, and then I felt like, you know, there's some stuff that I got to do. I got to work on. And how long am I going to be doing this for everybody else? Because they're clearly taking the time because they're there, and that's why I'm coming. You don't have to be this extreme, but I'm at a point where if I'm not, and you can feel free to replace the phrases, but if I'm not getting a check, putting myself in position to directly get a check, or supporting somebody I love, I'm not going.
I respect that.
I'm not going.
Those are my criteria.
And then you have moments. There's going to be moments where you go just to have fun or you go. But once you get where you're super selective, those moments don't feel so bad. Because I had got to a place where I was out so much, I was feeling guilty because I'm like, I have shit to do. Or I'm not, this is great. I love you. But like, I have my own stuff to do.
Yes.
And it's that whole saying no thing. And I think people who really love you will understand. You've been at everything for everyone. I think that they would know or should know, and you can express it to them too, that you would never miss something out of malice.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you
If
just
I'm not
getting
there,
it
it's
together.
literally 'cause I
it's
can't
I
be
can't.
there.
That's
Yeah.
it. And that's what I had to tell people too. Like, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I'm kind of similar. Like, I want to show up as much as I can just because I want people to show up for me. That's not the only thing I'm trying to work on. But, like, that's why I think I would do that if I was in your position, showing up as many places as I can just because I want that same energy back, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm working on my patience. I have certain very, very high expectations for myself and where I think this show should be just because I know I'm really good at it. I know we're good at it. I know the message we're trying to bring to the world. But I'm not at the point right now where a year ago I thought I would be. So I'm working on just appreciating what I have done and being patient with my journey and myself.
Stay present.
Gratitude.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Okay, so we'll actually get out of here soon too because I have another show coming in. But let's say tomorrow, all platforms of social media have that blue check. Is there anyone you would want to reach out directly to work with in any way?
Wait, one more time?
Like your social media for your company and you personally. If you wake up tomorrow, you have a blue check, that verified check.
Oh.
Was there anyone in particular you want to work with and possibly curate an event with or do something with? Or just talk to?
I mean, to be honest, the blue check doesn't really mean that for me. If I want to work with somebody or if I want to do something with somebody, I'm going to find a way to get to them.
I feel like it makes it a little easier though. I feel like people's perception
That
of the blue check, it's like that
validation.
stamp, yeah.
Yeah, see, I go around all types of stuff like that all the time. I think that's actually a misconception. I think that you think it makes it easy to reach out. You still got to go through the same channels. If I want to book somebody for something, I still got to talk to their agent. If I want to collaborate with somebody, I still have to send out an email. I still have to get the email. I don't, personally, for me, I don't think that would make a big difference for me about who, maybe people's perception, like you said, like, oh, okay, she verified, like, you know, people do that little light bulb goes off for them.
Right.
But I don't think it would make a big difference. I'm just getting to it.
So no one's getting a DM from you even if you have the blue check.
Nobody that I wouldn't DM now.
Gotcha.
That's the thing. Like I would DM if I really want to work with somebody, and that's how I am. Like if I want to connect with somebody or work with somebody, I just go for it. You know what I mean? If it's supposed to happen, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Or I figure out who within my my network knows this person or has an affiliation with the person, and I figure out like, hey, I have this idea, or I want to do this thing, and you know the best way to like get in touch with the person. I think it's more about that. I think social media created this whole screen that makes it seem like people are a little less accessible than they are.
Right.
I think it makes you create these blocks and make you think that like it's so hard to achieve certain things or so hard to get to certain people. And working in this industry, I tell you, it's really not that hard. And I try to reiterate that to people. Pull on what you know. I think when you think you don't have something or you're missing something, take a stock of the resources that you do have, and I promise you'll figure out that you have more than you thought. So
I guess that's one of the negative effects of social media, thinking that things aren't really as possible if you don't have that amount of followers, that blue check, all that. So
because I know people that's bossed up that have no followers.
I was just about to say, like,
they are millionaires.
I've met
Have
some
no
really
followers.
successful people who are not popping on social media.
And it's surprising, right?
Yeah.
And they get it done.
They do.
What?
They do.
I respect people like that.
Yeah, word. So how has 2019 been for your company and for you personally overall? Has it been what you expected?
So far so good. So far so good. I can't complain. I have this thing where I'm trying to work on it. If that's what I'm working on too, is like actually taking it all in and taking a step back and being like, okay, look, this is what you've done so far. I'm like already in 2020. So I'm like, you know, when I do something, I'm already on like the fifth thing after that. So it's like everybody else is just seeing it and I'm grateful and I'm happy, but like my feet is moving.
You're
like
very
I'm just
forward
pedaling.
thinking.
Yeah. So I think it's actually been a great year so far. Right now I'm in a place where I'm just making sure I take that moment just to gear up because I have some really, really big things that I'm working on and I want to see happen for the rest of the year. So I'm taking this month, or I've been taking this month to try and like, you know, just get all my ducks in a row and, you know, improve on anything that I feel like we could have done better. But it's been good so far. I just know everything can always be better. So I'm always just striving to continuously improve.
Can you speak on some things that you want for yourself in the future and for your company? Or is it just private? We'll know when we see it.
I'll say maybe a few things. One thing I'm working on. Nope, I can't say that. Yet. Dang, you almost got me too. Almost got me. I can't say that yet. I'll say, you know, working with bigger brands, working with a lot of big companies, and being that bridge between culture and product. Culture and, you know, these big companies, making it more authentic to us. As we can see all the time, a lot of companies, you know, miss the mark, and I just want to be in a place where I make sure they don't. And I also have a lot of huge resources for the B2B community, for, I would say, my community, for, you know, people who look like us, do things like us, have dreams like us. And yeah, that's really one of the really big things are. It's something really big for us. A couple of really big things. I can say though, like there's some like books coming out. I'm putting out a couple books and
like self-help type of like advice, like how to build your own brand.
One is yes,
Building your own brand.
Yes.
Cool.
Building your own brand, and then another one is more so like the journey from like intern to workspace and wherever you want to go beyond that. I know talking to younger people, that's something that they need help with, knowing how to go about it. And for some reason, a lot of people don't say. Like, I don't know. Everybody wants to pretend that, like, they woke up and it was lit. Like, no, you had to do something to get there, do some sort of work. Like, you know, it takes time. This is a long game. It's not like some short journey, or at least I'm playing a long game. You know what I mean? So it's about longevity, and it's definitely a process. And so I want to highlight that process, and if I can make it a little easier for somebody, then cool, because I can't have one-on-one conversations with everybody. So my goal is to find ways to be able to have those one-on-one conversations without physically having them.
Those are my favorite entrepreneurs, the ones who show the process and that, you know, really share their failures, because to me that's what makes them more human, and it makes it more relatable. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who see the quote unquote overnight success, and that kind of discourages some people because they think that that person just has so much happen so fast that it's impossible to match that. But in reality, there's a whole process. Like you said, like social media is people showing their highlights. They don't show the behind the scenes.
It takes 10 years to become an overnight success. That's one of my like favorite quotes
truth.
ever.
Yeah.
Because it's very true.
the
And every
truth.
person I know that's super successful, they started, you know what I mean? Like when
10
they
years
pop,
ago,
it's literally always, it's either like right, it's like 9.5 or it's like right at 10. And it's like, wow, they earned this. Like you have to put in the work. And like you said, I like entrepreneurs who share too and who are realistic because it shows you that you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through this, and no matter how many people around you are supporting or not supporting, it's a lonely thing. Like you feel very alone. You feel very by yourself. You don't always feel like people get it. Even the people who do get it, sometimes they're not going to get it. And so it's like you put in your all into this, your time, your resources, your money, whatever. And sometimes things just don't go how you expected them to go. And so I think it's important for people to be realistic about that. Also, not saying you got to tell people all your business, but at least, every once in a while, remind people that it ain't all, butterflies and unicorns.
So in other words, dream big, but just have a dose of reality
I
thrown in
agree.
there.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
not, life will give it to you. Anyways.
Word up.
Yeah, I don't
Right
like
in the
those
face.
books like Entrepreneuring for Idiots or something like that. They try to make it a simple process, but it's not simple at all. Like you will get some bumps and bruises. You will lose money, lose time.
Levels.
At the same time, it's not as difficult sometimes also. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes people make it seem like, oh my God, you got to do this, that, third, da-da-da. Then you got to run 3 miles every day. Because if you don't, you are going to be broke. And it's like, yo, chill out.
Word.
Like, the most, like, being an entrepreneur, like, you see them, you be like, okay, stop
Like,
yelling
chill
at
out.
me.
Yes.
Like, damn, we going to buy the book. We going to buy the book. Stop
Yeah.
yelling.
So true.
But it's also like the whole thing to me, being an entrepreneur is really a journey of self more than anything else.
I
Is
agree.
discovering what works for you, what doesn't, what you like, what you don't like, what your strengths are, what your
What
weaknesses
type
are.
of people
It's-
can you work with?
Yeah, what type of clients?
Oh,
Like,
man.
yo, I think I'm finally right now, like this week. Finally, and it's been a constant, it's been like an onion, like just all these layers of the type of client that I like and the type of client that's for me. You know what I mean? Regardless of what my wants are and what I may really want to work on stuff like this, that comes with something. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, what is the actual client, agency dynamic that I like, that works for me, and I do my best work with. And it's not stressing me out or whatever, and meets the price point so I can eat and invest and all that. So I don't know. It's a constant journey. It's a constant journey, and anybody who says otherwise is lying.
Have you interacted with a client, but the idea was there and you really messed with that idea, but just the energy, like that feeling of not really rocking with them as a person or as a brand overall, didn't really work out or align with your integrity?
No, I won't say that, but I'll say that definitely the idea is there and it can work. It could totally work, but they don't pull their weight. That I would say is the closest to that. And that happens sometimes often. But you kind of get to a place, and I'm super passionate, so I'll drive myself crazy, either trying to get them to see it, get them to do it, or trying to maneuver and rework the plan so it still works. But you kind of got to come to the place where, like, you can't want something more for somebody than they want for themselves. And even if they hired you to do something, if they're not willing to do their end, there's only so much you could do. Like,
Got
I'm not Jesus. I'm not Superman. I'm not any Black Panther, whoever, whatever your thing is. I'm not I'm not them.
Unfortunately, we're not in Black Panther.
Right. Unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
I don't have them the plants they eat, whatever. Going off on a tangent. But you can only do but so much. And I've definitely experienced that more. But that helps me figure out who's my client and who's not, and in what capacity. I think, for example, I have a coaching call service, and it's like, 30-minute consultations with different brands every week. And I do that because there's some people who have great ideas and they do need tips and help with branding, but I couldn't take them on full time, whether it's them not having the budget or them just not being ready for that entire package like that. There's other things you need. Like, you don't just need an idea. You need a team. You need resources. You know what I mean? It's more about me helping them figure that part out versus me trying to kill myself, trying to be 10 hats for them and do what I'm actually supposed to be doing. So it's all a process.
Interesting.
Mm.
It seems your life seems very crazy, but very fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Each day you don't
She
know what you're
seems-
gonna get.
She seems well suited for it, though.
Yeah, you seem definitely built
She's a
for it.
strong mind.
Thank you.
Like you run around a lot, but always smiling though. Like
Yeah, right.
I guess I do smile a lot.
And it's got me thinking. My brain is just going to so many random places. It's so hot, but like I think that's why.
See?
But like I was curious if you guys think what our interests are currently are a reflection of maybe what our ancestors were. Like maybe if we had a past life. Do y'all think that's like a reflection of that, or do you think we are all unique individuals and from past to present, and we all have these interests because of who we are, our experiences?
Combination of the
I was
two.
about to say, I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Think?
Because you can have that influence of your ancestors in being a particular industry or type of work or trade, but you as a personal individual might just be like, I don't think that's for me. Or you might be like, you know what? I fucking love this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy my family does this because I love it. So I think it depends.
And I was thinking, because I don't have anyone in my family who I don't even know what a podcast is, but I'm very, very interested in interested in speaking and sharing my story. So,
Do you have anybody who's good at telling stories in your family?
Or who does public speaking.
Or not even public speaking, just somebody who's just good at telling
my
stories.
grandmother was a teacher. She used to teach like kids from like kindergarten to like 3rd grade or something like that. So yeah,
And that makes sense.
maybe.
Because that's a form of it.
Answer
It's
my own
weird
question.
because
It shows up
the
in
world
different
is
forms,
different.
yeah.
Yeah, the world's different now. So you have to consider like, oh, okay, if there was podcasting, your grandmother might be the type of person who would have had a podcast. You know what I mean? If the option presented itself, and what you're doing is teaching.
Yeah.
So, I think for me, I think about it too. It's very strange because I didn't really grow up with my dad's side of the family, but his dad is an entrepreneur. He has so many different businesses. My mom's parents, they ran a bunch of different businesses, whether they thrived or failed throughout my life. And so I didn't really pay attention to that. I just knew, like, my grandfather, he was also a bishop and a pastor. But aside from that, his companies, it was just like, oh, grandpa always has money. He always figures it out. I don't know. He got a whole office. I was working for the office at one point and barely knew what the hell we was doing. But I was like, okay, cool. We getting to it. We hustling.
Making
All
it
right.
happen.
We're making it happen. Legally, but we're making it happen. And so I think I agree. Like I think it's both. And I'm pretty sure if I trace back, there's always people in my family hardworking, or there's always that balance. It's hardworking or slacking or figuring out how to not work hard, play hard, or work smart rather. Work smart is definitely a thing in my family.
Work smarter, not harder.
Right.
That is definitely a thing. Just looking at everyone and trying as much as possible to be able to live off your passions. So I would say that I think I'm taking it a different approach based off of who I am naturally and what, who God made me, but and to a different level.
Right.
But I definitely think it's there. And I think it's great, though, because, the seeds that your ancestors plant, you grow things, and then you plant seeds, and then the generations after you, you know what I mean? Somebody somewhere along the way picks that stuff up. That's what I believe.
I agree.
And lastly, we have this segment on our podcast called Don't Sleep, where basically we tell the audience something you shouldn't sleep on, whether it be a piece of food, music, advice, whatever. This week, for me, I think people shouldn't sleep on that new Anderson .Paak album, Ventura.
Oh, I gotta get to it.
Last week, I think I championed the Kyle Dion album as one of the best albums of this year. Anderson .Paak's album was right below it. This is the album I wanted. I didn't want that Oxnard album, the rapping stuff. The album was really bad.
But that one video was so good.
Yeah, but no, Anderson. like this is what I wanted the whole time. I think this is what he wanted the whole time. I love this album. Stop working with Dr. Dre. That is it. Miss Coco, do you have anything people shouldn't sleep on this week? Or should we pass the CR?
Pass the CR and I'll come back.
I would say, guys, do not sleep on checking your email. Right? And the reason I say that is because, there's so many different opportunities. Like, for me, I have 3 different emails. I have one for Rodley, then I have one for CR, then I have one for my company, Jump Out the Frame. So all the opportunities that come up for, an artist are in my artist email. But, sometimes you don't check the promotions that have Gmail. So they put it in different folders. And there was people hitting me up to, make posts on my Instagram, and they'd pay me, $25 in a Amazon gift card, but I know how to get the cash off gift cards. So it was just damn.
Scammer.
That's good to
No,
know.
no
This
scamming.
sound
See you later.
I mean, that was scammy. I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I was like, okay.
I didn't mean to say it like that.
You did, though.
I did it.
Ah,
But
being truthful here.
Yep. So
Don't sleep on
definitely
checking
check your email.
And with that
Don't
being
scam.
said, I was gonna say, don't sleep on taking time out and turning off your phone. Because just as it's important to make sure you follow up on emails and information, especially as an entrepreneur, especially with people who have their own company, also take a little block of time, if it's once every day or you set aside a day, just to turn everything off. Doesn't have to be too long, but just so you can unplug, even if you're just I don't know, listening to music, in your room chilling, whatever the case may be.
Fact.
Go for a walk in nature, something like that.
Confirmation, because that's my plan for Saturday. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Don't hit my phone.
I also have to check my emails, but I'm gonna do that on Friday.
Put your out of office
And
email,
yes,
okay?
Yes,
Hit me on
Janae,
Sunday.
she's gone. Okay, she's on a staycation with herself.
There you go.
And
so
I'm gonna
cool.
check out. That's what I'm gonna do. Saturday, I'm gonna turn my phone off. I'm gonna take a walk. I'm gonna listen to the new Anderson .Paak album after checking my emails on Friday.
I actually
That's
did that
per-
last
wow.
week. I actually wound up in Jersey on a whim on Friday. Went
Dope.
down to AC by myself, and I had a bomb-ass time.
Yes.
That's so cool.
I had the funnest time.
We're going to
so.
get into that next episode because I need more information.
Right, I need deets.
I had a date too, but that's another story for another time.
Okay, we talking after the show now. I need to know more now.
Don't sleep. Don't sleep on.
Brown to perfection.
Right, don't sleep on Brown
Hello.
Perfection
Self-promotion, thank
Agency.
you.
Okay, don't sleep.
All your marketing needs, thank you.
Listen, get on the ark before it starts raining.
Can you go get
Don't
Mike?
sleep on
Can
us.
you go get Mike?
But also, don't sleep on vanilla cupcakes. It's like my favorite thing in the world. And don't sleep on, don't sleep on butternut squash.
So good. I love butternut
I've
squash.
heard that
It's really good.
at least a few
So
times throughout my
good.
life.
And Trader Joe's has these crinkly ones now where they already sliced it up, and so it's great for stir fries. However,
Ooh.
when you're storing that butternut squash from Trader Joe's, I don't know what it is about it. Freeze it.
Yeah,
Don't try
you
to
have
put it in
to.
the refrigerator. I did not know that. I've lost half of my squash
Oh, no.
twice, and
Yeah.
I'm so mad.
Mm.
And don't sleep on chamomile tea. It's great.
So soothing.
I actually brought you guys some tea today.
What?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, they might ask me. Think that's what I forgot to say. I do. I like a good cup of tea. Chamomile is my favorite.
love
It's
it.
great for the solar plexus if you're into that. Also, just great for digestive system. It's calming, all that good stuff.
You were the nicest person ever. No one's ever bought us anything. Except
Really? Aw.
I really appreciate that. I don't even
So
drink
nice
tea like
of
that,
you.
but I will drink
Problem.
all
I love
that tea.
Okay, I got it from Trader Joe's too.
It feeds my
Peace.
soul. When I drink it, it's like literally warming my
Literally.
soul.
And it's supposed to make you, increase self-esteem and self-awareness and just make you feel good.
We like good feelings here.
Thank you, Mike, for taking care of the alarm people. You killed those guys. The alarm stopped. That alarm is so terrible. Apologize to the listeners for that and the video YouTube people. So
We keep it interesting, people.
for sure, that was special effects for this episode.
We was on fire. They was like, you gotta get that out.
Would you like to shout out all your social media where people can find you and your company?
Sure. You can follow me at Janae Brown. That's JUNAE Brown, like the color, no E at the end. Or you can follow my agency at B2P Agency. That's on Twitter and Instagram. We also have a Facebook page, but do not follow me on Facebook because I'm never on Facebook, and I also just think that's weird. My old high school pictures are on there. I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys again for having me. This was actually really, really fun.
Thank you
I
so
needed
much.
this
Thank
today.
you for
Thanks for coming
coming.
through.
Love
Hopefully,
having
we can get you a part 2 sometime in the future if you're not too
Yes.
famous
Let
for
me
us.
know. Oh, stop. Never.
Hey.
Never.
If you enjoyed this podcast, wherever you indulge, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, whatever rating system they have, please utilize that because it definitely helps and makes us want to keep going. If you're interested in coming on the show as a potential guest and share your story just like Janae did, you can email us at introvertedpod@yahoo.com. And I may look at it and ignore it, or I may consider you as a guest. So make your pitch appealing. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys.
That was great.